So our keynote speaker for this year is Dr. Jose Donato Magno, a graduate of the UP College of Medicine, class 2004, and he underwent residency training in internal medicine and fellowship in cardiology here in UP-PGH. He also underwent wherein he was noted to be the chief fellow and was recognized as the most outstanding fellow. He also underwent the clinical research fellowship in non-invasive cardiology, echocardiography, at the Philippine Heart Center last 2013, and is currently the program director and training officer of the section of echocardiography in UP-PGH. He's also an active consultant staff and member of training committee of the Division of Cardiovascular Medicine here in Philippine General Hospital. He's also currently the executive director of the Cardiovascular Institute and the chair of the section of cardiology at the Angeles University Foundation, and is also one of the only 5 Filipinos accorded prestigious fellowship status in the American Society of Echocardiography. He served as a faculty, speaker, and presenter in international symposia and conventions, including but not limited to the International Society of Hypertension in Japan and Canada. And interestingly, he's also a Sarah Geronimo fan, wherein he listened to her songs, been to her live concerts, watched all her movies, and even got to talk to her via Zoom. So without further ado, may we now welcome our keynote speaker for this year's welcoming ceremonies, Dr. Jose Donato Magno.
Thanks, gang. You know, my heart is racing at 90 a minute. I feel like I'm in Guazon Hall all over again. I see the names of my beloved mentors, teachers, and friends at the department, but it is such a humbling honor to be in your presence today. So pleasant morning to my UPPJH IM family and to all those tuning in today. Let me begin with a confession by saying that I may not be the optimum choice to give you this message, but as a dutiful and grateful member of this IM family, I will try my best to do justice to this task by infusing my talk with real-world pearls from various personalities that I have been blessed to encounter throughout my entire stay at UPPGH, plus of course a share of my own. You know, in fact, I have a running log of quotable quotes that I maintain in my phone since I was graced enough to join the highly esteemed UPCM faculty pool 8 years ago. So to those of you who know how I speak and deliver lectures, you know that I am a fan of threes. So my brief sharing will be divided into 3 parts. First, a story. Second, a revelation. And third, a promise. Then UP Chancellor Manuel Agulto shared some pearls of wisdom when he stated during the orientation to us UP faculty in 2014, the pursuit of truth should be the main goal of a university, and being UP faculty comes at a great price. I extend this thought thread by saying that if much sought after truths will be the reward, then we ought to be thankful for the opportunity to pay this price. Dr. Carmencita Padilla, during her investiture as the 9th Chancellor of UP Manila, backs this up by saying, faculty members have the intangible reward of mentoring the country's next generation of leaders. So, to continue, here is the quick story. There was this sickly and mischievous kid whose life was studded with accidents, challenges, humiliations, and failures. His mom called him a miracle baby because he managed to survive a premature delivery to extricate him from a double cord coil, and both him and his mom from the fangs of death. As a toddler, he fell from his crib head first, sustaining a bad head gash that needed stitches. It's actually here. During his preschool years, he would escape classes because he didn't think the teacher was pretty. He would cry his way through public performances and would have sudden and inconsolable tantrums. At such an early age, he was diagnosed to have seizure disorders, necessitating medication. In high school, he got bullied, yes, got strangled, and lost half his front teeth. In college, he would have recurrent mental lapses, leading to the loss of his scholarship, a 5.0 in Math 54, and an extended year. In pre-med, yes, he fell asleep and figured in a vehicular accident that led to injuries to his friend passenger. In med school, he bungled his love relationships, yes. In residency, he disappointed his bosses and got stripped of his admin post. And during fellowship, he got reprimanded for his poor memory and lack of attention to detail. That's the story. These uncanny items are not typically included in one's CV, but such memories actually pave the way for the successes written in such a document. So, dear Optimum Batch, learn to embrace failure with genuine gladness in your heart. Winning, yes, fuels self esteem, but losing builds character. Most great people are defined not by their triumphs, but by their failures and how they manage to pick themselves up after. Now, what truths must be known to you? Batch Optimum. A quick online search will instantly lead you to two definitions. At first glance, quite similar, but in reality, worlds apart. One refers to the most favorable conditions for growth, reproduction, and success, while the other describes something most conducive to a favorable outcome. Think about that. In my opinion, the latter more aptly describes what your UP-PGHIM experience will be. During the PGH strat planning in August of 2014, as he presented his plan for the rebirth of PGH, our beloved director Gap Legaspi said, "It's hard to love PGH for what it is. Just love it for what it stands for." I will tell you right now, my dear Optimum Batch, that conditions at the National University Hospital may not be the most favorable. I must admit, though, that it had evolved and improved by leaps and bounds. Way back then, we had to contend with numerous obstacles during our journey. Today, you are faced with some pervading problems admixed with new challenges. Of course, you have the raging pandemic, the battle for sanity, race to normalcy, and the ever complicated and muddled political landscape, all of which affect the vocation you are preparing to take on independently in a few years' time. But in spite of, or maybe because of these hardships, pressures, and difficulties, you are all hardwired to succeed and attain a most favorable outcome. I've always believed that adversity is an underrated but excellent gateway to opportunity. And one of the best ways to overcome adversity is through diligence and impeccable work ethic. The one who keeps asking the right questions will eventually stumble across the right answer. Our cardio mentor, Dr. Yobs Punzalan, rightly puts it by saying, "The person is defined not by the answers he provides, but by the questions he poses." And the late great Professor Emeritus Ramon or Tito Monching Abarquez was such an epitome of this kind of inquisitiveness. Meanwhile, our dear Dr. Raul Hara was a classic model for presence and punctuality. Always the first in attendance during conferences. Always there. They say, wherever you are, be there. This actually gained him the AGAP Award of the Division of CV Medicine. Dear residents, during your stay at the department and the hospital, cultivate good habits. These are the ones that will carry you through the toughest of times. Let the most important things that you do in life not be a force of habit, but rather a habit by choice. I keep recalling Dean Melflor Atienza during her NTTCP lecture in September 2014. She said, "There's always a reason why you do things. And when you keep doing it, it means it's important to you." As you go through your work, realize that UPPGH will inevitably make you stand out. But more than standing out, which is focused on being different from others, being outstanding speaks of excellence in your chosen craft and aspiring for a personal standard of quality. Finally, when things don't seem to make sense and everything crumbles in front of you, go back to why you donned that gown in the first place. Now, here's the promise. After all that you have studied and gone through, everything boils down to one question which can define your career and your professional life. I believe the single and most vital question that a patient will always have is, can I trust this person? Can I trust my doctor too? Listen open-mindedly to my ramblings and not immediately dismiss them. Know when and when not to say things. Know when and when not to refer. Know when and when not to test or treat. Dr. Hara says the diagnosis should only come second to the welfare of the patient. And the doctor who knows how to keep my revelations private. Professor Luis Mabilangan highlights that the Filipino patient is most unique when he or she is sick. And if you think about it, this may also apply to your other relationships, relationships that will pave the way for who you will become tomorrow. Oftentimes, a patient's trust is ultimately based not on who knows the most, but the one who is perceived to care the most. Former American Society of Echocardiography President Medab Swaminathan during our Zoom session in November 2021 with my young colleagues at the Philippine Society of Echo hits the nail on the head by saying, you never really know someone unless you know how much they care. I'm going to repeat that. You never really know someone unless you know how much that person cares. And caring is not hinged solely on your capacity to recommend the best tests or to prescribe the most effective medicines. In the words of Professor Nelia Maramba during her famous pharma sessions at BSLR, hindi lamang gamot, kundi pagkalinga. Napakaganda po ng pagkalinga. Don't be too fixated with numbers. It's not necessarily the volume of patients you see that determines the success of your practice, but rather the quality of care that you offer. Your brand of medicine will be your main selling point, and your patients will be your most crucial promoters. Finally, continually pray for that grace to find and keep the joy in medicine. Not everyone has the privilege to do what they love, but everyone has the opportunity to love what they do. Some of you may not necessarily be in the career of your dreams, but you stuck it out and you decided to love it for what it is. And that is why medicine is such a great vocation. Because for some reason, whether obvious or unclear, it manages to make us fall in love with it. As the great physician Paracelsus encapsulates it, the foundation of medicine is love. Let me now wind down by imparting my final tips on how to have a grace-filled stay with the UPPGHIM family with the following mnemonics. Yes, GRACE. First, gratitude. It is always a great idea to begin and end each day with gratitude in your heart. Look for every chance to say thank you to the staff, to your colleagues, to your patients, to the workers out there, especially after each patient encounter. Affirmation and acknowledgement go a long, long way. Respect. Get the right people to say yes to you. It's a skill. And return that favor. Respect is intertwined with humility and kindness. And be genuinely happy when you realize your mistake. It is such a great opportunity to become better. Now, as far as patient care is concerned, avoid using disease states as adjectives to describe people. This is one of my pet peeves, actually. Instead of saying the diabetic patient, say the patient with diabetes. The disease does not define the patient. In fact, it is the reverse. Attention. Pay attention. Small matters matter. This attention is also linked to learning. The quality and amount of learning are directly proportional to your degree of yearning. Kung gusto mo, maaabot mo. Cheerfulness. Never lose the kid at heart. Go out of your way to make someone happy today. Keep that smile on your face. You're going to see that on the faces of our hardworking staff at the department. And empathy. Then UPCM Dean Agnes Mejia once said, how do you gauge the depth of empathy in one's heart? Such an unsettling but very relevant question, especially for us mentors and teachers. Our time in this life is finite, but our opportunities for doing good are endless. And the PGH family will never run out of individuals who thrive by doing good. One of your most precious gifts is the culture of inspiration cultivated by UPPGHIM, a culture that I believe serves as that big X factor in the empathy equation. So, To Batch Optimum, our future co-internists, here's my fearless forecast for you. Tel, our future health ambassador, Henzer and Dan, who will be defenders of the sick, Noel, Brian, and Louie, who will use their electronics and math expertise to design new health technologies, Franz and Tristan, who will become food magnates advocating for healthy eating options, Rene and Chin, who will eventually revolutionize PhilHealth accounting policies, Joyce, Mako, Jen, and Des, who will craft public health policies that matter, Daryl, the voice actor who will be the future DOH spokesperson, Neff, Kring, and Amiel, future scientists who will dive deep into health discovery, James, Kara, and Manman, who will become well-loved professors in medicine, Jean, a city administrator who will ensure sustainable access to low-cost but effective medications, and to Tol and Denise, who will become clinicians with excellent nursing and bedside decorum. You all deserve to be in this residency program. Residency, to reside and make a positive dent in someone else's life. I'm so sure you will all succeed in doing this, proudly carrying the name and the legacy of this institution. And when we meet you all again on your residency graduation day, I do hope you can confidently and happily say the following words: I am home. I am because of you. I am UPPGH. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay tayong lahat.